Go team. Hey, it's Chris and Ellen.
And here's 5 things we've learned living in a small French village in Normandy, France.
So you're thinking, Normandy? Why Normandy? I've seen the World War II movies. Why do I need to visit these sites in person? Why should I even care about visiting a small French village?
Mont-St-Michel is beautiful, but why does it matter? And I thought Paris was the epicenter of French cuisine.
So let's take a look at these things. We've lived in the same small French village for a month at a time for like 3 or 4 times now. And we keep coming back because of the local charm. Almost spilled my tea. We're gonna get to those tips, but before we do that, if you find value in this video, go ahead and give it a thumbs up. It really helps the channel out, and we're trying to get to 1,000 subscribers.
Subscribe!
So if you can do that, it'll help us out immensely.
And hit the bell to get notified when we post new videos.
Oh yeah, that's a thing too. On to the tips. Tip number 1, the stories we hear about World War II aren't the entire story of World War II. There's so many stories that are just left untold that you can find scattered throughout the Normandy landscape. One story we heard is from our Airbnb host. It was about his father, how his father was born. So, story time. Before the landings that you've seen in Saving Private Ryan, they had the airborne jump in to like secure some spots, or at least try to. They were scattered all over the place. There's like flat cannons going off, there's gunfire erupting, there's explosions, there's, mortar fire, there's just chaos on the ground. Meanwhile, the grandfather of our Airbnb host, at the time they were younger, the couple was pregnant. There was no doctor around.
And it was her first baby.
Right, she was giving birth on this night of all nights. They needed a doctor. So the husband runs out into the mortar fire, into all this explosion and stuff, saying in French like, "Doctor, doctor." Lo and behold, this paratrooper landed, was a medic, somehow understood he needed a medic.
However, they communicated in French, English.
Yeah, and the American medic went with this husband back to the wife. That was his first task after landing in Europe, is go deliver this baby. And he did, and that's the way the father of our Airbnb host was born. That was just like one story of like tons that we've heard from people who live there.
There's so many stories that you cannot see in all of the movies and all of the books, and just go and talk to people and listen, and that's where you find like the gems, and that's the magic of traveling to Normandy.
Tip number 2, the past is never really the past.
What do you mean?
What has been, what is history, what has happened is affecting what is present day, whether that's in people's memories, like events that happened, policies that were enacted back then. The past defines the present, and the present, whatever happens now, defines the future. So the past never really goes away. It's never even past. That's a quote from somebody. It was not mine.
The past has never passed? Really?
Yeah.
Huh. Cool.
Yeah,
so smart.
A guy smarter than I am.
So smart.
No, it's not me.
Yeah, but you listen and read to those guys.
All right.
So smart.
All right. For instance, like just walking our dog down.
Our dog.
I call him our dog.
We house sit for him and take care of him.
Okay, fine. They're not our dog. So we take Hector to the beach. Hector's the dog. And he loves the beach. He gets so excited about going to the beach. This is Hector before he knows we're going to the beach. This is Hector after he realizes we're going to the beach. But as we're walking down the beach, history still is strewn about. We see tank treads on the beach. We just happen upon a German bunker that's there.
These giant concrete bunkers. I mean, we're not just talking one. It's not just one bunker that you see.
One every 50 yards. Crazy. It's still there. It's still part of the present. The remnants of what was doesn't just go away overnight. Those decisions of what happened, one man's vision surrounded by people who enabled him, cost so much and changed the landscape of these beaches forever, and of Europe forever. Charged to the account of humanity so much.
All that to say is that something that you can learn from living in these small French villages, and particularly in Normandy, is that the past is really never gone. It's only just shaped and changed the landscape and changed the people's lives and impacted a culture. And that's something we can think about in the way that we vote, and the way that we make our choices, and the way that we live our life. How is this choice going to impact other people? And how is it going to literally change a continent for the rest of time? Tip number 3, Mont-St-Michel is more than just a castle island, it's a symbol of hope. Calling Mont-St-Michel a castle island and going just for a shot of the tides rolling in is like going to the Statue of Liberty and just going for the hot dogs.
Okay, so you know Superman. Everyone knows Superman. Like the S, it's the symbol of hope from his people.
It's my people's symbol for hope. Hope starts with an H, stupid.
That same S, that symbol of hope, is what Mont-St-Michel is for the French people, because, so Joan of Arc, we've all heard of Joan of Arc, may not have heard about the 100 Years' War.
We didn't know about the 100 Years' War at all before going to France.
But she led the rebellion against the English. But what inspired her was seeing that Mont-St-Michel did not fall during the battles. No one could take it over.
Exactly.
She used that hope to lead the French people against the English. How cool. So people have been pilgrimaging.
Pilgrimaging.
We're gonna go with it. People have been pilgrimaging to the site ever since.
And that's what Mont-St-Michel stands for. It stands for that spirit of rebellion, of resistance for the French people.
Being French and like standing up for it. Like even World War II, like we just talked about, when they were occupied for 10 years.
French resistance. Vive la resistance.
Yeah, they were still doing the same stuff.
It's not just this beautiful monastery built on a rock. It is, granted, it is gorgeous, but it's really more than that. And when you understand the meaning, it gives you this extra level of appreciation. Like when you're walking up to it, and it's a long walk, and you're walking up to this gorgeous island, just thinking about the symbol that this is for the French people and what it means. It really is just like taking that ferry up to the Statue of Liberty and thinking of all the immigrants that came over to see it. It's the same thing. It's the same sense of hope that it should inspire in you. And going just for a beautiful picture is not even scratching the surface.
You missed it, yeah.
Tip number 4. The best French meals we've had were not in Paris. My favorite French meals have all been in small villages.
I mean, if you just like define the quality of food by how fresh it is.
Even if you're in Paris and you order oysters, most likely it's going to say they're from Saint-Vaast-la-Hougue.
And this is Saint-Vaast-la-Hougue. So if you want the freshest oysters, come to one of these restaurants over here, because they get their oysters right across the street, literally, from this ship. Instead of saying oysters from Saint-Vaast-la-Hougue, they say the name of the boat that it came in on, and you can sit there at the patio of this restaurant, look across the single street, and see the boat names and see which boat your oyster came off of that day. Super local, super fresh, super good.
And in Normandy, the meals come with multiple courses. Most French restaurants post their menu for the day outside so you can see the prices and see what's available. In France, this is called a carte. It's not called a menu, it's a carte. And the menu is actually like a set entree, plat, dessert. It's a set order of things, and you get to choose one of these options. Usually that's the best value, and it's fresh food, it's delicious. So if you want to get a fancy multiple course French meal, then look for the menu. I'm getting a little excited. Where else can you get a 3 or 4 course meal for 20 euros?
So our French friend came to America, so opposite perspectives. When he went to McDonald's, he wanted the #1 menu. And the guy was like, what do you mean the #1 menu? He's like, I want the #1 menu. Guy was so confused at McDonald's in America, not knowing what the heck he's talking about. So it means the same as like a combo. It's a combo meal.
And they're usually the best deal, and you can get them a la carte. They're less common.
That's where it comes from, a la carte.
Yes, a la carte.
Off the cart. And carte means menu, so off the menu.
Yes. Yeah. Personally, I don't think I've ever seen a restaurant in Paris with a menu. We've always ordered a la carte.
Yeah, that's true.
Maybe if you have, then tell me where so I can go.
Eating outside of Paris. Bon appetit. Tip number 5. Give Normandy a chance. Make it more than a day trip. So set aside the history for a second. I mean, visit it eventually, but just for now, like set it aside. The World War II, the tourist things, just hold on and think of just the culture of Normandy and the people. It's beautiful. Like the landscape, it's beautiful. Like you have the cliffs, you have the beaches, you have rolling fields and orchards for days. It's so bucolic. It's so relaxing. It's refreshing. It refreshes the soul, you know? Contrasting from like, you know, the hustle bustle of Paris or from wherever you're from, any of America, it is not hustle and bustle of that.
The Norman architecture just still, it absolutely captures my heart. There's something about just being in Normandy and around that bucolic atmosphere. It's so beautiful, so lovely. We drive through all these villages. I'm still just so amazed at the history, the architecture. It's just gorgeous. It's the place where Parisians go to vacation. They own their vacation homes on the beaches of Normandy for a reason.
It's the birthplace of Impressionism too. Monet, Manet? Was he there too?
Yes.
Mayonnaise?
Yes. Impressionists were drawn here in the 1800s because of the way that the light would hit the water in the buildings.
They painted the harbor at Honfleur, what we were talking about before.
The cliffs, like the paintings of Monet with the cliffs and everything. That's all in Normandy. It's been known for its sense of inspiration for a very long time. So go, be inspired yourself.
The world pivoted from Normandy.
Multiple times.
Look at the history, look at the culture, and have a great time. Spend more than a day. Oh my gosh, spend more than a day there. It's lovely. Okay, so if you've enjoyed these 5 tips on Normandy, then we're releasing a bunch more coming up here soon, so subscribe to the channel, like this video, and hit that bell so you get notified when we post new videos.
We're gonna be talking a lot about like what it's like living in a small French village and all of the ups and downs of life in a small town.